Welcome to Table Bible Studies with Ben and Ben. New studies are posted every Thursday. Today we pick up with chapter 4, and we find Boaz taking steps to marry Ruth without giving in to the temptation to use any shortcuts.
Well, we've reached the conclusion of Ruth. Didn't take too long, did it?
No, it didn't take too long. We kind of, we love the study, and we have been having fun doing the study as we go.
Yes, we have. And there's only 4 chapters to it. It's not a long book, but it really is a famous book of the Bible.
Yes.
Lots and lots of people love the book. And
Including us.
Including us, right? And people have been inspired by it. Books have been written about it, commentaries. Ruth is one of the more famous Old Testament books for
Yes.
being so short. It packs a lot of punch, doesn't it?
Right, it does.
So where we left off was Ruth gets back home to Naomi,
Right.
and she has taken Naomi's advice to go lie at the feet of Boaz after he's had his big meal and has drunk, and he's feeling good, and
Right.
he wakes up after she's already there and says, "Who in the world are you?" She tells him, she says, "Spread your wing over me." In other
Yes.
words, marry me, kind of an old-fashioned way. Why didn't you come up to me and say, "Dennis, spread your wing over me"? Somehow that didn't happen for us,
Why
did
will I
it?
say such a thing? Will I say, no, it's not what we do.
That's not what you do. Not nowadays, that's just not the way. Anyway, Naomi tells her what turns out to be exactly right. She says, well, just be still.
Yes.
This man is not going to rest until he gets this thing resolved. I think Naomi has kind of figured out, yeah, he's interested.
Right.
Kind of nice to know that a guy that you're interested in is interested in you.
Right.
And so that was the case. Ruth and Naomi were both, looking at Boaz as a real catch, and Boaz was looking at Ruth as a real catch. But there was an issue. This had to do with a kinsman redeemer, and Naomi had apparently mortgaged the land, sold the land in some way or fashion, but you could get it back if you, according to the customs of those days, if you paid the redemption price. So even though she had, I guess in one sense, sold that land and probably used it for money to their trip to Moab, or maybe she did it after they got back just to live on, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they had the right, if they could come up with the money, to buy it back. Well, they, of course, couldn't, but Boaz could.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I would like to. He would like to be the Redeemer, but there's somebody who's closer in relation to Naomi than he is, and to Ruth. So it says, behold, the close relative of whom Boaz had spoken came by. So Boaz goes to the gate. Now, the gates are kind of like the city courthouse in those days.
Okay.
They didn't have a courthouse, but they had gates of the city. Most cities had walls. And the gates is where business was conducted. So he goes to the gates, and he brings together, verse 2, 10 men of the elders. He calls the man who has the right of redemption and is a closer relative than he is.
Yeah.
Now, neither of these men are related to Ruth. They're related to Naomi's husband.
Right.
So they are in-laws, you might say, to Naomi. And so they bring the elders. It's a special court session. The court wasn't scheduled for that day, but it's like, we got to have a special session. Let's get this thing resolved. Boaz is kind of in a hurry, doesn't it seem?
Yeah, I know that. It's like his heart is drawn to this lady, and he's like, let's do quickly and get married instead of waiting too long. This girl is beautiful, and before another person will take her, I better hurry up and get married to her. So it's like you said, something was really drawing them together, and I like it that way, because it had even that is one-sided.
Yeah.
Had even that is one-sided, like maybe Ruth is really, really excited of, marrying this man, and then Boaz is like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
that would have been problem. Or
Sure.
Boaz wants to marry her, and then Ruth is like, no. So I kind of like how two of them want each other.
And I think another issue that made Boaz want to get this settled is the fact that it was not settled. There was at least a pretty fair chance he was going to lose out on this deal, and the other man was going to get to redeem the land and marry Ruth.
Yeah.
So when there's something you really want, but you're not sure if you're going to get it, you want to get that settled as quick as possible and find out, am I going to get this blessing or am I not? Let's get this thing resolved. And, that's kind of how I am. If I'm praying for something and it looks like it may or may not happen, I'd like, all right, let's hurry up and find out whether this is going to happen or not.
Yeah.
So really you got two people, both Boaz and Ruth. The other guy doesn't really know what it's about until they tell him. But Boaz and Ruth both know what's going on. Right. They know, number one, Boaz and Ruth have a respect for each other. They like each other. I think they would both be comfortable getting married.
Yes.
But they know it may not happen at all. And sometimes God allows us to go through a long or a short period where we have to wait and see which way God is going to bless, which way God is going to direct. Because they haven't read the book of Ruth. It hasn't been written yet. So they don't know. This may end up with the other guy getting Ruth. Ruth knows she's likely to have a husband.
Yes.
But I think she was much more eager to marry Boaz than this other guy whom she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So they're both a little nervous about how this is going to turn out. I'm guessing. It doesn't say so, but I'm guessing they're both a little bit nervous to see which way this is going to go.
Yeah.
So he brings the elders of the town, which is what you do to have a special court session.
Right. I brought some elders.
Yeah, when we had our official engagement
section,
the elders were there, right?
God help us.
Nigerian village leaders, and I didn't have a clue what I was getting myself into, and you didn't really warn me very well or prepare me very well. You just said, well, there's going to be some kind of an engagement party, and some of my people will be there. I didn't know what I was getting into, but anyway.
Ruth, why she's wanting Boaz, so bad, and to marry her and not letting even the king's men, mess the whole thing up. And then why would I tell you that my people will bring a long list and everything, debates and all that?
I knew I was in for more than I thought I would be when they were all sitting around looking so formal. And then I've got my guys that have been assigned to me to represent me, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. But anyway, I found out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the elders sit down, and he tells this man who has the first option on Ruth, he says, Naomi has come back from the country of Moab. She sold some of the land that belonged to our brother Elimelech, so they were both related to Elimelech. I wanted to inform you, saying you can buy it back in the presence of the inhabitants of the elders of my people. If you'll redeem it, redeem it. If not, let me know. And there's no one after you to redeem it, and I'm next after you. And Boaz is basically saying, you've got first rights on this property.
Yes.
And if you want to redeem it, you're going to have to pay money to the people that are on the property now, because Naomi has sold it. Okay. But you can buy it back. You've got the first rights to it. If you don't want the property, I'll buy it. He's not really mentioning Ruth yet.
Yeah,
he's kind
that's
of
something. He's
being
kind
a little careful, a little careful about it.
Maybe the man would have rushed to pay for that land that he backed us. Had it been that he knew that Ruth was at the middle of the whole thing.
Well, he's going to find out in a hurry, and then he is going to back out. So Ruth turns out to be the negative in the deal as far as he's concerned. He says, you can redeem. Now, here's what I want to first bring out, and that is, if a man really wants a woman and he's willing to more or less jump the protocols of the community, you wouldn't have to go through all this. He could have just married Ruth and then told the guy afterwards, well, sorry, but, I've married Ruth, and, just forgot about the fact that this other guy had the right first. Boaz was a man of integrity, and he knew what the town and the community protocols involved, which is the closest male relative has the right to the lady along with the property. And he followed the rules. Sometimes we can push things so far because we want it so badly, we break the rules, And God's not pleased with that.
Yes.
He wants us to follow the rules, the legitimate protocols that are involved in our lives.
Yeah.
Everybody has rules they have to live by. The United States has laws, and those are rules. In the church, there are certain protocols and laws about leadership. And just, no matter what you're doing, there's going to be rules. Business, corporations, they all have their rules.
Do things the right way.
Well, that's it. That sums it up, really. Do things the right way. And to his credit, Boaz does it the right way.
Yeah.
He does not just jump into things and is like, well, let's just get married. We'll work it all out later. Because I want you so bad. Forget about the rules.
He's a godly man.
He's a godly man. He's a good man. He's a decent man.
Yes.
And when a woman can get hold of that kind of a man, she's doing pretty well, especially if he has money. That kind of helps too, doesn't it?
Well, he has money, property, farmland and all that.
Right.
Did you ever wonder why YouTubers are always asking you to like, share, and comment? It's not really that we're all egotists and we love to have a lot of positive reinforcement. It's because we know that the YouTube algorithm keeps track of these things and rewards videos that have a lot of viewer interaction by promoting them to other people. So when people go to YouTube, they'll find that video near the top of their feed, and in turn, these videos will become more popular still. So if this channel has been a blessing to you, help us out by clicking the thumbs up, making a comment, and sharing it with someone you think might benefit from it. Thank you so much, and God bless you.